ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीकृष्ण श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापत्कमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं सतं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः गुरुवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वरम् हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. So we were just reviewing this chapter so far, just understanding the sequence of conversation between Krishna and Arjun. So the last concept that we discussed was Krishna was discussing who are the people that can give up work. So because Krishna initially answered that yes, there are some people that are okay to give up work. Some people engage in karma, some people engage in renunciation. He told Arjun that you should work with the spirit of renunciation or work with the spirit of tyag, spirit of detachment. But yes, there are some people who can give up work also. So he said, who are those type of people? Those are very pure people, advanced consciousness, self-realized souls who do not have anything to gain in this world by working. Okay, they do not have any reason to work. So he said, Nana Vaptam, nothing is wanted by them. Nana Vaptam means nothing is wanted by them. Avaptavyam, nothing is to be gained by them. So they do not need anything, they do not gain anything by working. They're neither attached to the work nor to the results of that work. But still, since they are in leadership roles or they are looked up by the society, in order to lead the society properly so that the ordinary people do not go astray or the ordinary people do not give up work, they also stay engaged in work. But and then we drew some flow charts on our whiteboard to discuss what is the consciousness of those people versus that of the ordinary people. So we discussed that the ordinary people work because they are attached to the results of the work. They have to make money, they have to maintain their body, they have to maintain their family. They're very dependent on engaging in some kind of work. They have to engage their senses, their mind, otherwise they're not very focused if they do not work. So they're very dependent on the work. And so for all the reasons that Krishna discussed before, they need to work. And devotees, we decided they work for those reasons, plus they also work to detach themselves. They also struggle to detach themselves from the results and from the action itself. Plus, they also struggle in satisfying Krishna through their work. So they're struggling in all these areas, but they engage in that struggle where they try to detach themselves from the results, from the action, and in satisfaction of Krishna. Whereas the completely self-realized souls, the completely pure souls, the advanced souls, their consciousness, their mindset or mentality of working is very advanced. They are just working for the pleasure of Krishna. They are just working for completely for the satisfaction of Krishna. So if they have to do some work, it is only to please Krishna, only for the love of Krishna. And the other reason that they work is to set an example for the ordinary people, for the masses. So we took the example, or Krishna gave us the example of Janak Maharaj in that respect, that Janak Maharaj is a Mahajan, one of the 12 Mahajans, very elevated soul, celebrated devotee, and he does not need to engage in any kind of work, but he does so that his citizens, his kingdom will be inspired also to keep working. And why is work needed? We know that work is needed to slowly cultivate the detachment, to slowly cultivate the knowledge. And then he also gave his own example. So Krishna said that if I also give up the work, if I don't set an example by engaging in some prescribed duty, some type of work when I come here, then that will set a wrong example for people. So I have to show them how to work. So Krishna gave his example. Now let's start from, we have to start from 26 today. Let me see. Yeah, we have to start from 26. No, sorry, 25. We have to start from 25. We did till 24 last time. So let's lead and follow. 3.25. Sakta karmani avidvamso. Sakta karmanya vidvamso. Yatha kurvanti bharata. Yatha
Yatha kurvanti
kurvanti
bharata.
bharata. Kuryad vidvams tatha saktas.
Kuryad
Kuryad
vidvans
vidvams
tatha
tatha saktas.
shaktas.
Chikirshurlokasangraham.
Chitikshur
Chikirshurlokasangraham.
lokasangraham.
So this and the next verse actually we can do together. But can somebody read the translation? We'll read the
I
next
can
one.
read.
Yes.
As the ignorant perform their duties with attachment to results, the learned may similarly act, but without attachment for the sake of leading people on the right path. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Let's read the next one also. Then I'll show you the Sanskrit of both these verses. 3.26. Na buddhi bhedam janayed. Na buddhi bhedam janayed.
Janayed
Agyanam karma sanginam.
Agyanam
Agyanam
karma
karma sanginam.
sanginam
Joshayet sarva karmani.
Joshayet
Joshayet
sarva
sarva karmani.
karmani
Vidvan yukta samacharan.
Vidvan
Vidvan
yukta
yukta samacharan.
samacharan.
You want to continue, Nagatin?
Sure. So, as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is basically finishing up, we are rounding up this concept, the same concept. We have already discussed this principle that a learned person, a vidwan, will keep working so as not to disrupt the mentality, the consciousness of other people that are attached in this world. So look at the Sanskrit, please. Sakta karmani avidvamso. Avidvamso means in ignorant people. Okay, ignorant people are sakta karmani. Sakta karmani means they're attached to the work. Okay, so ignorant people that are attached to the work, yatha kurvanti bharata. Let them do what they are doing. Puryad vidvams tatha saktas. So the vidwan means the learned people, the wise people. Remember, the pure people, self-realized souls are asaktas. They do not. It says they they similarly act, but without attachment. They are also working. Kuryad. Vidvams are also working. Learned people are also working, but asakta, without attachment. For what purpose? Lok sangraham, for the to lead the loka or the masses of people. Sangraha means like the masses, groups of people. So to lead the groups of people, the vidvams are also working, but their spirit of work is asakta. They are detached in working, and they let the avidvam people work who are working for attachment. Okay, so basically, ignorant people will keep working with attachment to results, with attachment to fruitive gains or benefits or something. What is in it for me, right? So they do action for that purpose. Learned people will also be engaged in some work, but their mentality of work is different. They're working without attachment, and they're working to lead people on the right path. Next verse also is saying something similar. It's saying, Na buddhi bhedam janed. So buddhi bhedam means to baffle, bhed karna, like baffle karna, to bewilder. The janed means ordinary people. So the vidwams, the learned people, try not to baffle the ordinary people. Okay. Agyanam karma sanginam. The agyanis that are karma sangi, meaning that are attached to the results, intelligent people will try not to baffle them. Joshayet sarva karmani. Rather, the intelligent people will engage them in all kinds of activities. Yukta samacharan. Okay, they will engage them, they will make them practice, they will show them the right way to work. They will engage them in different types of work, and they will not distract them from working. They will not tell them that to stop working, that you should become brahmachari or sannyasi. They will not disrupt their intelligence. They will not baffle their intelligence, which is so attached to the work. Rather, they will engage them in some kind of activities. So with these two verses, this particular concept of how learned people do not disrupt the general masses and they themselves work without attachment, they themselves work for satisfaction of the Lord, and they also themselves work for leading other people by example. But they let other people work, even though those people are attached to the work or attached to the results. So with these two verses, this particular principle or concept will finish. But let's read the purport. Can somebody read this purport? You want to continue, Nagarjuna Prabhu, if you're available?
Yes, I can
Sure,
read.
I can read. Okay, go ahead, Mama.
Purport. A person in Krishna consciousness and a person not in Krishna consciousness are differentiated by different desires. A Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not conducive to development of Krishna consciousness. He may even act exactly like the ignorant person who is too much attached to material activities. But one is engaged in such activities for the satisfaction of his sense gratification, whereas the other is engaged for the satisfaction of Krishna. Therefore, the Krishna conscious person is required to show the people how to act and how to engage the results of action for the purpose of Krishna consciousness. Hari Bol.
Very good. So not much to share here. Just the different consciousness is described, how the consciousness of a karmi or ordinary person differs from that of a self-realized soul or Krishna conscious person. One is engaged in a self-centered work. They are mostly catering to their body. They're in material consciousness or bodily consciousness, whereas Krishna conscious person is Krishna conscious. He's working for the satisfaction or pleasure of the Lord. So his work is like yagya. His work is like a offering to the Lord. His work is a sacrifice or service to the Lord. So his work becomes devotional service, bhakti yoga, whereas the other person is still getting results from the work. He's enjoying the results. He feels entitled to enjoy those results, so he's getting some reactions also, because he's trying to enjoy, he's trying to become trying to claim those results for himself. Let's read the next purport also. So remember here Krishna is saying that a learned man should not induce an ignorant man to stop working. Rather, he should show him the work in spirit of devotion. So he himself is working in spirit of devotion, right? With love, with sacrifice, with service. So this is the spirit he will try to cultivate in the other people who are right now working with attachment. So let's read this purport. Can somebody read this?
Should I continue?
Sure.
Purport. Veda is
Vedaischa sarver aham eva vedya.
Veda is just sarver aham eva vedya. That is the end of all Vedic rituals. All rituals, all performances of sacrifices and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all direction for material activities, are meant for understanding Krishna, who is the ultimate goal of life. But because the conditioned souls do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end. But through fruitive activities and sense gratification regulated by the Vedic rituals, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a realized soul is Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but he should act by showing how the results of all work can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. A learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant person working for sense gratification may learn how to act and how to behave. Although the ignorant man is not to be disturbed in his activities, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for the other Vedic formulas. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow the Vedic rituals because by direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results one would otherwise derive from the following one's prescribed duties. Haribol.
Very bold. Okay, so I think this is pretty clear. So basically, Prabhupada is again emphasizing this point that show the ignorant people how to act, how to behave, and how the results of the work can be used in the service of Krishna. And he does not need to follow any other Vedic rituals or formulas. But remember, the attached person, the ignorant person, still needs to do some yagyas and some other ceremonies because he's very attached to the results. He's trying to enjoy those results. So he will need some other things to purify him. So yagyas and all will be needed, sacrifices will be needed to purify him. Whereas for a learned person, Krishna conscious person, his work is his sacrifice, his work is his yagya. So he does not need any separate yagya. Other people that are attached will need separate yagyas also to purify their activities. Okay, this is a very significant verse. This is very, very widely quoted, a memory verse. So we can recite this 3 times and we'll take it Sanskrit in detail. Now, different concept, a little bit of a different concept is starting. So Krishna will now stop talking about, Krishna will not talk about work done as an example. Rather, he will now talk about what materialistic work looks like. So he will keep using this concept, guna karma. Okay, what guna karma looks like. So let's see this. Prakrite kriyamanani. Prakrite kriyamanani. Gunai karmani sarvasha.
Gunai karmani sarvasha.
Ahankara vimudatma.
Ahankara vimudatma.
Kartaham iti manyate.
Kartaham iti manyate.
Let me just show you Sanskrit very quick and then let's recite it a couple more times. So prakrite means material nature. Kriyamanani, work being done. So work being done under the influence of material nature according to guna or according to 3 modes. Karmani sarvasha. So basically this says all the work being done under the control of 3 modes of material nature. Okay. Ahankara vimudatma. But an ignorant person, a foolish person, out of his ahankar, out of his false ego, thinks karta aham iti manyate. He falsely believes. Iti manyate means he believes or he falsely believes karta aham, that I am the doer. Okay. So a vimuda atma, a foolish person, vimuda means foolish, atma means soul. A foolish soul, a foolish person, ahankara, out of his false ego. False ego means bodily conception of life. Out of his bodily conception, iti manyate, thinks that I am the doer, kartaham. When all the work, kriyamanani, karmani, sarvasha, means all the work is being done under the influence of the 3 modes of material nature. Okay. So Krishna is saying that all the work is done by the control, by the influence of the forces of this world, by the forces of this material world. The three modes of the material nature are the forces that are doing all the work, okay? But the foolish person thinks, I am the doer, I am doing all the work, okay? He thinks I am doing all the work. So basically, we are now understanding what is the consciousness of a materialistic person who thinks he is the doer. Okay, so now a new concept is being introduced, the concept of doership. What does sorry. So he's now describing the concept of doership and what a materialistic person thinks. He thinks he takes credit for whatever he does. Okay, ordinary person thinks he is the doer and he tries to take credit for whatever he does. We'll understand this more. Let's read this purport and translation. Who can read this? Sakshi Mataji, Chetan Prabhu, Hiral Mataji, anybody available to read?
I can read it.
Yes, Mataji.
The spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in the actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. Purport: two persons, one of Krishna consciousness and the other in material consciousness, working on the same level, may appear to be working on the same platform, but there is a wide gulf of difference in their respective positions. The person in material consciousness is convinced by false ego that he is the doer of everything. He does not know that the mechanism of the body is produced by material nature, which works under the supervision of the Supreme Lord. The materialistic person has no knowledge that ultimately he is under the control of Krishna. The person is false ego, takes all credit for doing everything independently, and that is the symptom of this nascence. He does not know that this gross and subtle body is the creation of material nature under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And as such, his bodily and mental activities should be engaged in the service of Krishna, in Krishna consciousness. The ignorant man forgets that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is known as Rishikesha, or the master of the senses of the material body. For due to his long misuse of the senses in sense gratification, he is factually bewildered by the false ego, which makes him forget his eternal relationship with Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, I just realized we never recited it 3 times. Let's do it. Prakrite kriyamanani. Prakrite kriyamanani. Gunai karmani sarvasha.
Gunai karmani sarvasha.
Ahankara vimudatma.
Ahankara vimudhatma.
Kartaham iti manyate.
Kartaham iti manyate.
Let's do it together once more. Everyone. Prakrite kriyamanani.
Prakriti kriyamanani.
Gunai karmani sarvasha.
Gunai karmani sarvasha.
Ahankara vimudatma.
Ahankara vimudhatma.
Kartaham iti manyate.
Kartaham iti manyate.
Beautiful. So Krishna is basically saying that you think you are the doer. You're trying to take credit of everything that you do, all the actions that you perform, but that's foolish. Okay, foolish person thinks that I'm the doer. So let me share some concepts with you here, some words that I think everyone should know when reading Bhagavad Gita. So one concept is, so one word here that is mentioned is called ahankara. Okay, ahankara in English, ahankar stands for false ego. So can somebody tell me what, from our reading so far of Bhagavad Gita, what does false ego means? And then maybe you can tell me what does true ego means also.
I'm the doer.
Okay. More, it can evolve into that, but the basic most understanding of false ego is what?
May I, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji.
The false ego here refers to the false identity that a person, the real soul, who has no connection to the subtle body or gross body, he is independent, but he thinks that he is not, and then he identifies himself with the body itself. So that's the doership. And the real identity is like we are the ansha, like like Mamevansho Jivloke. So we are the ansha of the Bhagavan. So that real identity have been forgotten, and that is the false ego. But once we realize that we are not this body, this subtle body, or our nature, we are the independent of all this, but because of our like involvement and identifying with these senses, we think we are the body, and that's how we understand that we are the doer.
Yes, Prabhuji. So we'll come to the doership concept, but let's take it to the basic most level that you said. So ahankar basically means false ego. Okay. False ego means to identify with the body, to think that I'm this body. Okay. So to have wrong understanding of self, to not know that you are the soul, you are the spirit spark, the part and parcel of Krishna, you are the servant of Krishna. To not understand your real identity, to think that you are the body is the false ego. Okay. So basically false ego is also equal to bodily conception or material conception. To think that I am this body means I'm matter, I'm not spirit. Okay. This is the false ego. I'm not going to doership concept right now. We're just talking about what false ego means in its basic most understanding. Okay. And true ego means to understand your real identity, to know that I'm part and parcel of Krishna. I'm the spirit spark. I'm not matter. I'm spirit soul, the servant of Krishna. My relationship with Krishna is that of a servant, that I'm the spirit soul. Okay. So that is the real identity. So ahankar refers to false ego. So basically ahankar refers to the bodily conception of life. Now let's see that Prabhuji was also describing further. One step further is the doership. So when somebody thinks, ahankar means to think I am the body. Okay. When somebody thinks they are the body, so when we perform an action, constantly I'm seeing my body do some action, right? I'm seeing my body. Let's say I am writing. So I'm seeing my body write. I'm painting. I see my body paint. I'm dancing. I see my body dance. So I think I am doing this, right? Because I'm the one accomplishing it. I'm the one fulfilling this action. So since I identify with the body, I think I am the one doing it. So this gives rise to this concept of I am the doer. Okay, I am the doer. This doership concept comes from there, that I feel that I have accomplished this action. Now, this is not wrong. This is not wrong that you are the doer, right? But why is it wrong? What is the problem with this concept? Here is what the proper principle. Please listen very carefully. This is very difficult sometimes to understand. So so the main thing to understand is that there are three doers. Okay, understand the concept of a doership. This is the concept of doership. How an action gets accomplished. जैसे कि हम कुछ काम करते हैं, how does that work gets accomplished? There are three people involved in accomplishing an action. Okay, who are the three people? One is the jiva or the soul. Okay, what is the role of jiva or the soul in an action? The soul basically initiates an action. So how does it initiate? It desires. Like for example, I want to eat something. That is my desire. Okay, I want to eat gulab jamun. So I will initiate that action by desiring. I want it. Okay, I want something. So that is why I'm the initiator of the action. What is my role? I desire something. Okay, this is the soul. Soul is one doer. Okay, so it's not wrong to say that we are doer. We are doer, but we are not the complete doer. We are not the only doer. There are three doers. Okay, who are the three doers? Second doer is, so if this desire is to be fulfilled, it has to be sanctioned by somebody. Okay, who sanctions that desire? Who do you think will sanction that desire? Who will allow this desire? What does your common sense tells you? Who should be the second doer? Somebody has to sanction this action.
Krishna himself.
Krishna, right? So Lord or Paramatma, you can say Paramatma will, Lord will sanction this action. Okay, Lord will allow that action to happen. He may not allow. Okay, he may just he may not allow this desire to be fulfilled. But if he allows that desire to be fulfilled, then the third doer comes into place, and the third doer is what we are able to see, which is Prakriti. Prakriti or the world, the matter, the three modes. You can say Prakriti or the three modes. We'll talk about three modes also. The three modes, okay? So Prakriti will facilitate. Prakriti will give us resources so that, because now Lord has sanctioned, so Prakriti will now start acting. Prakriti will start facilitating that action. So this is how full action gets accomplished. A work gets accomplished. The jiva first desires, okay? The Lord then sanctions that desire, and Prakriti, when the Lord has sanctioned, then facilitates that action by giving us the resources or the facilities or the proper tools, proper environment, proper atmosphere for that action to be accomplished. Only then an action is successfully completed, successfully accomplished, okay? So we see only our role. We see only that I have done something. Okay, but Krishna is saying that actually Prakriti has a very big role. Prakriti is facilitating this action. Guna karmani. Okay, if Prakriti did not allow, if Prakriti did not facilitate, did not give us the resources, our body is controlled by these three modes. Okay, we work under the influence of these three modes. Even our desires are controlled by the influence of these three modes. So if the Prakriti has a very major role in an action to be fulfilled. Okay. So we are the doer, but we are only partly the doer, not the complete doer. Our problem is that we take full credit for the action. We do not give credit to the Lord, or we do not give credit to the Prakriti who has facilitated that action. So now my question to you is, if there are three doers, right? Then when we do an action or a karma, why does jiva gets a reaction? Any action leads to reaction, right? The jiva gets a reaction. So somebody can say, let's say somebody murders someone. A jiva can say, but I was not the only doer. The Paramatma sanctioned it. The Prakriti facilitated it. So why should I get the reaction for that murder? Why do I get implicated in this action when I'm not the only doer? So what is the answer to that? Why is jiva only responsible?
Because Jiva is the one who desired it at the very first place.
Yes, because jiva is the one who initiated the whole action. Jiva is the one who desired it. If jiva did not have impure desires, if jiva did not have desires separate from Krishna, then he would not get do any actions that will generate these reactions. But since we have desires to enjoy separate from Krishna, we have independent desires, we have impure desires, we do impure actions are happening through us, because we are initiating them through our impure desires. That's why we are getting these impure reactions, or even pure reactions. But we are getting reactions, we are getting implicated, we are getting entangled, because we are the one that are desiring and that are getting reactions. So we are responsible. But when we do something good, okay, when we do something, let's say you did some good work, let's say you did some kind of action which was a very charitable action. Okay, I did a very pious work, and then we should also not get puffed up. Okay, when we did something very pious, very charitable, welfare work, philanthropic work, we should remember this concept of three doers, that without the facilitation of Prakriti, without the sanction of Paramatma, I alone could not have achieved it. Okay, so it goes both ways. When you do something bad, you should take credit for, you should actually accept the responsibility because you know that you initiated it. But when you do something good, you should not get puffed up thinking that you are the only doer, because remember, you are not the only doer. Prakriti actually has a very, very big role. Okay, so this is these are some things I wanted to share with you. One more word I want to share with you before we move further is this word called, and this word is called conditioning. Conditioning. Okay, conditioning means this word keeps coming up in Bhagavad Gita, and I realized I have not addressed this word so far. Conditioning means a jiva like us, we have become conditioned in this material world. Okay, become conditioned meaning we have become used to thinking that we are this body. So because of our constant contact with the material world, because of acquiring body one after another, because of being stuck in the cycle of birth and death, we have started thinking that we are this body. So basically, conditioning refers to very long association with material nature. Such a long, very, very long, like we don't know how many births we have taken. So because of numerous lifetimes that we have associated with this material world, long association of matter, we have started thinking that we are matter, we are this body. So this conditioning has led to this very strong false ego or ahankar or bodily conception of life. Okay, these words are often used interchangeably. Some people call it conditioning, some people call it false ego, some people call it materialistic consciousness, some people call it bodily consciousness, bodily conception of life, materialistic conception of life. All these ultimately basically mean that we identify with the body, we think we are the body, or we think we are the matter. Okay. So long association with matter has led to this conditioning of Jiva, where Jiva thinks he is the matter. He has forgotten his real identity of being a servant of Krishna, of being a spirit spark or soul. He has forgotten his relationship with Krishna, his original position in the eternal world. That has happened because of this conditioning, this very long lifetimes of association with the material nature. So just some words that I wanted to introduce. We can go back to our verse. So we already read this. So basically, Prabhupada is saying that the person in false ego takes all credit for doing everything independently. So he thinks when he does something, he thinks that he becomes puffed up. He takes credit for it independently, not knowing that Prakriti had a very big role to play in this. Okay. Okay, let's read two more, then I'll clarify a couple more words for you. I want to talk about guna and karma. Guna karma is a word that is being repeated in these three verses. You will see. So this verse said, Gunai karmani sarvasha. So guna means that we work according to our gunas, or according to the three modes of material nature. We do all the actions under the influence of three modes. Then you see in next verse also, guna karma vibhagayo. Then he again says, guna guneshu vartanta. So what does guna have to do with everything here? Then next verse also, guna karmasu. So the concept of guna karma is going on. Guna karma means working under the influence of three modes. Okay, basically materialistic work. I'll tell you in a few minutes. Let's read these two verses. So next verse is Tatvavittu Mahabaho. Tatvavittu Mahabaho. Guna karma vibhagayo. Guna karma vibhagayo. Guna guneshu vartanta. Guna guneshu vartanta. Iti matvana sajjate. Iti matvana sajjate. We'll read both these together. Can somebody read this translation? Hare Krishna.
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu.
One who is in knowledge of the absolute truth O mighty armed, does not engage himself in the senses and sense gratification, knowing well the differences between work in devotion and work for fruitive results. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Let's read the next one also.
Yeah.
Prakritirguna sammūఢā sajjante gunakarmasu tan akritsna vido mandan kritsna vinna vichalayet. Prabhuji, can you read this one also?
Sure. Bewildered by the modes of material nature, the ignorant fully engage themselves in material activities and become attached. But the wise should not unsettle them, although these duties are inferior due to the performer's lack of knowledge. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Let's understand these two. Look at the Sanskrit. So, tattva with tu. So, okay, remember Krishna in the last verse said that foolish people think I am the doer. They do not understand how they're working under the influence of three modes. Okay, they take all the credit. Prakrite kriyamanani guna sarvani guna karmani sarvasha. So they do all the work under the influence of three modes, yet they try to take credit. They think that I am the doer. Then he says, but. Tu means but tattvavit. So before we talked about vimuda, foolish people. Now we are talking about vidwan people or learned people, wise people, tattvavit. But oh mighty armed refers here to Arjun. Mahabaho means Arjun, Mahabaho or mighty armed one. But the learned people know, what do they know? That the role of basically guna karma. Okay, guna karma vibhagayo. They know how work happens under the influence of three modes. Guna guneshu vartanta. So they understand the difference between the work that is done for sense gratification versus the work that is done for devotion, work that is done without attachment. Iti matva na sajjate. Sajjate means they do not get entangled. They do not get attached to the work that is done for sense gratification. Okay, guna guneshu. They do not work under the influence of the three modes only because they know what is the truth. Okay, so learned people understand that they should not work just for sense gratification or under the influence of three modes. They should not just engage in materialistic work. So they do not get attached to such types of activities or such type of materialistic work. Okay. Next, let's take next one also. Then Krishna says, but at the same time, so akritsna means people that are so kritsna means knowers, that are learned, that are in knowledge. Akritsna means people that are ignorant, that do not have knowledge. So akritsna vid means people that have poor fund of knowledge, that are very mand means lazy. So they're very lazy in understanding the spiritual knowledge. That are very that do not have the proper understanding. Those people are sajjante guna karmasu. They are attached to the material activities. Guna karma refers to material activities. These people are attached to the material activities. Okay, so the kritsna, meaning the learned people, na vichalye, they will not disturb these people that are attached to the material activities. Okay, so the understanding here is this. There are two types of people. One are learned people in Krishna consciousness who understand what is going on. They know their spirit soul. They should work with devotion. They should work without attachment. They should work for pleasure of Krishna. Then there are other types of people, ordinary people, karmi people, who are very attached to results. They just work for their body. They think I am the doer. They just want to please their own senses, their own body, and their bodily identifications. They just want to please their family and their bodily extensions. So they work with a different mindset. Okay, one people are attached, the other type of people are not attached. The materialistic people in material conception, in ahankar or in false ego, are attached to the results, and the Krishna conscious people or in learned people, Kritsnavid people, Vidvams people are detached from the results. So Prabhupada is saying they understand what is going on. They understand that we are working under the influence of three modes, that Prakriti is also a doer. We are not the only doer. They have this full knowledge, but they do not disturb the attached people. They let them work however they are working. What it means is you cannot teach people until they are ready to learn. Okay, so if those people are right now working with attachment, it's okay, they are in that consciousness, let them work in that consciousness. Rather, show them with your example, show them with your own detachment, with your own seva bhav, with your own service attitude, with your own, keeping yourself out of the center, keeping Krishna in center, how pleasing that is, how that service is so profound, gives you so much profound happiness. With that attitude, you can engage people slowly in becoming detached. Slowly, you can cultivate knowledge in them. But otherwise, when they're very attached to the results, very attached to the work, they are in ahankar, they are in false ego, they think they are the doers. Don't baffle them, because they will otherwise not come to the spiritual path actually. So let them be engaged in the kind of work they are engaged in. Just gradually cultivate detachment and knowledge in those people. So this is the difference between two types of people. Let's read the Prabhupada's purport and maybe it will become clearer. Can somebody read this purport? Who can read?
Purport.
Yes.
The knower of the absolute truth is convinced of his awkward position in material association. He knows that he is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, and that his position should not be in the material creation. He knows his real identity as part and parcel of the Supreme, who is eternal bliss and knowledge, and he realizes that somehow or other he is entrapped in the material conception of life. In his pure state of existence, he is meant to dovetail his activities in devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. He therefore engages himself in the activities of Krishna consciousness and becomes naturally unattached to the activities of the material senses, which are all circumstantial and temporary. He knows that his material condition of life is under the supreme control of the Lord. Consequently, he is not disturbed by all kinds of material reactions, which he considers to be the mercy of the Lord.
It's okay. I think let's read next purport also, Mataji.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Persons who are unknowledgeable falsely identify with gross material consciousness and are full of material designations. This body is a gift of the material nature, and one who is too much attached to the bodily consciousness is called manda, or a lazy person without understanding of spirit soul. Ignorant men think of the body as the self. They accept bodily connections with others as kinsmanship. The land in which the body is obtained is the object of worship, and they consider the formalities of religious rituals to be ends in themselves. Social work, nationalism, and altruism are some of the activities for such materially designated persons. Under the spell of such designations, they are always busy in the material field. For them, spiritual realization is a myth, and so they are not interested. Those who are enlightened in spiritual life, however, should not try to agitate such materially engrossed persons. Better to prosecute one's own spiritual activities silently. Such bewildered person may be engaged in such primary moral principles of life as non-violence and similar materially benevolent work. Men who are ignorant cannot appreciate activities of Krishna in Krishna consciousness, and therefore Lord Krishna advises us not to disturb them and simply waste valuable time. But the devotees of the Lord are more kind than the Lord because they understand the purpose of the Lord. Consequently, they undertake all kinds of risks, even to the point of approaching ignorant men to try to engage them in the acts of Krishna consciousness, which are absolutely necessary for the human being. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, let's understand this concept more. So Krishna has used this word in 3 verses now. He said guna, karma. Okay, guna, karma. What does this mean? So guna, okay, has 2 meanings. Okay, one is there are 3 gunas or 3 modes of material nature. Anybody knows what are those 3 modes or gunas that control us? These are like 3 chains. These are also called 3 chains. The world, the material world, the Prakriti controls a jiva through these 3 chains. What are those 3 chains or 3 gunas called? Okay, quickly. Sakshi Mataji, Hiral Mataji, who knows? I can't hear anyone. Yes, Vedi.
Satogun, Rajogun, and Tamogun.
Yes, so 3 modes are mode of goodness, passion, or Satogun, Vedi said. Satogun, Rajogun is mode of passion, and Tamogun is mode of ignorance. So these are the 3 chains or 3 gunas that bind us. Okay, how do they bind us? So we know that each guna causes certain qualities in us. Okay, certain. So how are these 3 chains, 3 modes? They give us certain qualities. Okay, for example, somebody in mode of goodness will be, let's say, very um, um, calm and composed, in a very happy state. They are able to focus better. They are very, they are very self-satisfied. They're very satisfied with whatever they do. So mode of goodness gives sort of this pleasurable, happy type of feeling. Okay, so these people typically are not easily disturbed. They do not get very angry. Okay, Satoguna people are like that. They do not become very angry. They are very steady and do their work with proper joy and focus and like that. Okay, so and this is mode of goodness. Mode of passion is giving a quick or brief overview. Mode of passion is, so that is mode of goodness. Mode of passion is where people are very active, very energetic, very ambitious. They want to make a lot of money. They have a lot of dreams and desires, and they want to fulfill a lot of potential in this world, and they want to make a name for themselves and achieve a lot of fame and have a lot of followers and whatnot. So they are very energetic, very ambitious, very active people. Okay, so that is mode of passion or Rajoguna. Tamoguna is mode of ignorance. Mode of ignorance or tamasic people are basically very lazy, dull, unhappy, angry, sleepy, procrastinate. They're not very joyful. They can't. They stay depressed and they can't really get energized enough to undertake any action. They shy away from responsibilities and may not show up for work and whatnot, things like that. Okay, so they are tamasic. So this is satoguna, goodness. Passion is rajoguna, and mode of ignorance is tamoguna, tamasic people. Okay, so each guna. So typically the word guna in Hindi also refers to qualities, right? कि हमारे क्या गुण हैं, किसी में क्या गुण आए हैं, हम ऐसे बोलते हैं ना क्या गुण है, कि ये व्यक्ति जो है वो बहुत लेट्स से सोबर पर्सन है, सीधा साधा और हैप्पी रहता है, ये उसका गुण है, या फिर ये बहुत ही एथलेटिक है, बहुत एक्टिव है, बहुत एम्बिशियस है, ही इज दैट काइंड ऑफ क्वालिटीज. Some people may be very artistic qualities. Some people may have skills in, let's say, financial skills or capabilities with their hands. They can work with their hands. Some people can work with their mind. So these gunas basically give us various types of qualities, okay, various types of, they determine our nature, you can say. They determine um, our tendencies, our proclivities or skills in this world, okay. Some people are born with certain guna more predominant in them. Some people may have some other guna more predominant. And at all times in different people, these gunas keep fluctuating. In certain times of day, let's say in the morning, we may be very active. Rajoguna may be very prominent. In the night, we are very lazy. We don't feel like doing anything. Tamoguna may be very prominent. And then in different phases of life also, certain gunas may be more prominent, right? Let's say in our youth, we are more passionate. We want to accomplish a lot of things. So mode of passion or rajoguna may be more prominent. Later on in life, when we, when we become older, maybe we become very satisfied, sober, calm and composed. We may become very satoguni. So in different phases of life, depending on what our association is in this world, what kind of contacts we are getting in this world, we may develop different types of, we may come in contact with different gunas, and these gunas will control our nature, our qualities, our actions that we perform in this world. So this is how our actions are being determined by the gunas. That is what the link between guna and karma. Okay, how three modes or gunas will influence our actions. So please understand this very carefully, this concept. Whatever chain we are allowing, जैसे कि कोई कठपुतला होता है, right? There is a puppet. He's being controlled by different chains. Whichever chain you pull, that a particular thing will move. जैसे कि अगर एक कठपुतले की ये right hand is being bound, left hand is being bound. When left chain is pulled, he'll pull his left hand. When right chain is being pulled, he'll pull his right hand. Similarly, whichever mode or guna we allow ourselves to be controlled by, that particular guna will predominate or become active in our life. So some people, most of the ordinary people, are helplessly being controlled by these gunas. They're allowing the prakriti, the world, to control them helplessly. So they just go through life by being controlled by these modes or these gunas, and that these gunas keep determining their qualities, their nature, their tendencies, their skill sets, their hobbies, their talents, and then finally whatever actions they perform. Okay, because whatever tendencies we have, whatever qualities we have, right, we perform some actions through them. Let's say I am in very much, let's say my let's say my rajoguna is very active, okay, and I'm cultivating this rajoguna. I'm staying in contact with people that are very ambitious, very passionate, very adventurous, very energetic, very athletic. Then I will engage in those type of activities. I'll be into money making, or I will be into playing sports, or I will be constantly looking for promotions and more work to do, and I'll be picking up extra shifts, right? I'll be constantly looking at my bank balance. I'll be constantly trying to become boss ka boss, because I am allowing myself to be controlled by rajoguna. So some people are just helplessly going through this world, letting themselves be controlled by whichever chain of prakriti is being pulled at that time. But people, there are, Krishna is saying, people that are not in bodily, people that are learned, the difference between learned and ignorant people is this, okay? Please listen. Ignorant people are helplessly, they do not have this knowledge that we are right now getting. So they go through life helplessly, being controlled by these gunas, and then they perform actions not really knowing why they are doing something. Okay, they don't understand that right now I'm being controlled by rajoguna, right now I'm being controlled by tamoguna, that these people are tamasic, or these activities are rajasic, or these foods are rajasic, or these places are tamasic. They do not have this understanding. So they are allowing different gunas to control their actions, their activities in a very helpless manner. This is the difference between an ignorant versus a learned person that Krishna is talking about. A learned person knows, has this knowledge. Krishna is saying Kritsnavid. Kritsnavid means person who has this knowledge, knows that he's being controlled by these gunas. So he will live his life very deliberately, situating himself in, let's say, satoguna at all times. Okay, at least at the minimum, Okay. So Satoguna is considered the best. Okay. Satoguna is considered the best. Satoguna is, or mode of goodness is considered the best. The next level is Rajoguna, the mode of passion. And the lower mode is Tamas or Tamoguna. This is the lower mode. These two are lower modes. The highest mode to be in, highest guna to be controlled by Satoguna. So this is considered, these are three chains. This is considered a golden chain. This is considered, let's say, a silver chain, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna is considered like an iron chain. Okay. So at the minimum, a learned person will try to deliberately situate himself in Satoguna. Okay. So this is the difference between a learned person versus an ignorant person, that a learned person very consciously will will eat the foods that are sattvic, will stay in the company of people that are sattvic, will take up the hobbies or activities or go to places that are sattvic. Okay. So he will live his life in a very deliberate way, knowing that whatever guna he allows himself to be controlled by will determine his actions in this world. Okay. Because guna, karma controls our activities. So we have to be very conscious of what guna we allow ourselves to be controlled by. Ignorant person is just moving around helplessly, not knowing what is going on. So this is the understanding I wanted to give you. How gunas control our qualities, and those qualities, those tendencies, those skill set, that association, that contact of material world determines our actions. So, a Krishna conscious person, actually a devotee, tries to transcend these three gunas. He tries to work in devotion. Devotion is even beyond Satoguna. Devotion means that I'm not allowing myself to be controlled by Prakriti at all. I'm completely under the control of Krishna. So he's my boss. He's my commander in chief. He's the person that I am answerable to, that I'm accountable to. Okay. So since he's transcending himself, he is not under the control of any of these three modes actually. So that is the difference between so at the minimum we should be in Satoguna, but the maximum is if we can be in devotion, work in love and service, but at the minimum at least work in Satoguna, so that eventually we can also work in devotion also. But devotion is the best platform to be in, where we can transcend the control of the three gunas. But somebody who's helplessly working under the control of this three modes is basically doing materialistic work. So guna karma refers to materialistic work, where one is completely under the whims of the material world. So he will just do work according to whatever his nature demands, whatever his senses demand. He's given to the urges of his body. He's in complete bodily conception. His senses, his mind, his intelligence is being controlled by these gunas, and he's allowing himself to be controlled, being pulled in whichever way, and he's just giving into those impulses, those urges. So he's working in bodily conception, in materialistic conception. This is a little bit, I just went off discussion a little to give you the understanding of how guna controls our karma. Coming back to Prabhupada's purport, Prabhupada has mentioned a very important concept here, that I'll just mention this concept and then we'll stop, because I want to see what people have, if people have questions about anything. But Prabhupada has mentioned this, that when we work for our body, okay, sometimes people extend that bodily gratification to their relations, to their community, to their society. That is nothing but extended bodily gratification. Okay. Sometimes I think that I'm working for my community, or I'm working for my country, or I'm working for my family. But what I'm doing is I'm just working for the benefit of their body. Okay. So this type of nationalism, philanthropic activity, or altruism or charity work is nothing but extended bodily gratification. Okay. So that is not on transcendental level, that is still on bodily platform. Okay. Such type of charity. So the lowest platform is just to work for oneself, right? Just to work for my own sense gratification. But the next level is when people do pious or charitable work, the so-called welfare work or moral civic work. So Prabhupada is calling it extended bodily gratification or extended bodily identification, where we are just working for the bodily welfare of other people. We are not able to look beyond their bodies either. We are not able to look beyond our body, and we are not able to look beyond the bodily welfare of other people either. So we think if I just give them food, if I just give them blankets, if I just give them medicine, if I just give them some bodily comfort, that is enough. That is okay. That is minimum. We should do that. But that is not the highest. The highest charity is to connect that jiva, to look at his spiritual benefit and to connect that jiva to the source, to where they came from. So to connect them to their source, their Lord, the place where they came from is the highest benefit. So what has happened is, we are not saying that charity is wrong, but we are saying, what Prabhupada is saying is, that such charity which thinks that the bodily benefit is highest or higher than spiritual benefit is wrong. Okay, where we take Krishna out, where we think that that bodily benefit alone or independent of Krishna, separate from Krishna, is highest, and serving in Krishna consciousness is somehow lower, that type of mentality is wrong. Okay, so it is definitely beneficial to, you know, help somebody in need in their bodily fulfill their bodily demands, give them medicine, give them comfort, to give them blankets, give them, you know, there should be hospitals and orphanages and schools, and all these type of facilities should be there for bodily welfare. But we should not think that that's all in all. And we should not try to, in the name of charity, when somebody builds temples, uh, we should not uh, dismiss those activities. We should not minimize the spiritual activities, saying that bodily activities are the highest. Okay, so the tendency in this world has become where we tend to dismiss any spiritual welfare activities, saying that they are not needed. We tend to minimize the benefit of the spiritual welfare activities, and we just try to credit people that are doing only bodily welfare or bodily you know, altruism and materialistically charitable and philanthropic activities. Those are given all kind of accolades and all kind of they have all kind of name and followers, and awards are given to them. But people that do spiritual welfare activities, that are trying to connect people back to their source, the actual spirit soul, back to the Lord, they're not given any credit, and it may even be you know, defamed or you know, blasphemed sometimes. So that's the kind of charity we do not endorse, where only bodily charity or bodily welfare activities um, upheld. So Prabhupada is just making that point, that that is nothing but an extra step in bodily identification. This is a extended bodily gratification. But people that are enlightened in spiritual life should know that the highest welfare activity is actually to perform activities in Krishna consciousness. जैसे बोलते हैं ना, एक saying है, famous saying है, give a man a fish and he will eat one day, but teach him to fish and he will eat all his life. So what we are doing is, जब हम bodily welfare activities कर रहे हैं, we are just giving a man a fish, meaning we are just superficially fulfilling their needs, but we are not fulfilling their deep needs. If we taught them how to fish, meaning if we really connected them to the source of all happiness, then automatically all those superficial needs will be met. But we are just meeting the superficial needs and neglecting the need of the actual jiva, the need of the spirit soul. And if we could just connect them to the source of all welfare, all happiness, all love, then their superficial needs will automatically be met. So this is one point Prabhupada is making. But a lot of people in material consciousness, bodily consciousness, they are very absorbed in this world. Sajjate word, Krishna's used the word sajjate. They are very proud of this type of bodily work. So we should not disturb them. They are immersed in this materialistic work. According to their gunas, they are doing some good work. So that should be they should be allowed to do that without disturbing them. Devotees still, Prabhupada is saying, take risks to disturb them sometimes. But Krishna is saying that we should gradually inculcate Krishna consciousness in society through our own example, and not disturb people that are very immersed in bodily activities or materialistic activities. But we should understand, as learned, we trying to become learned people, wise people, we should understand that according to everybody's gunas, they are engaged in different karmas. Okay, I'll stop here. Let's see, because these were some difficult concepts. I'm just throwing a lot of nomenclature of Bhagavad Gita, a lot of terminologies that are used in our Bhagavad Gita in Prabhupada's books at you. So let's see if there are any confusions, questions, clarifications. Anybody wants to share anything? Sakshi Mataji or Prabhuji?
I had a question.
Yes, Mataji.
So on a day-to-day basis, I don't know what it would be like to live in India and live a life in Krishna consciousness. All I know is to be an immigrant in a different country and have desires accordingly. So when we are living our day-to-day lives, the desires that we have and the needs that we see for ourselves, that this is how we are going to progress in life. Yes, we can say that, we can pray to Krishna that if this is good for me, please put this in my path if you think this is good for me. And if you do not think it is good for me, of course that's not going to come to us. But you are also an immigrant and you might have experienced this as well. So what are some, how did you go through this journey, or what are some conversations that you had with yourself to make yourself understand what path you are on, and how you are not going on a material path and feeling all the material results of everything and living temporary, like you said, like giving a fish to someone rather than teaching them how to fish. It's a little haywire kind of question.
No, I understand. Yeah. I'll try to answer, Mataji, as much as I understood from your question. I think you're asking basically all over, sort of how to live, how to conduct, how to manage our desires, and sort of also asking how to manage our ambitions. We have come here, if I understand correctly, we have come here as an immigrant, so that means we have certain ambitions, right? Because otherwise we would have stayed put in our country. We have some potential we want to engage, certain desires which were probably separate from Krishna. So Mataji, I'll just answer two points here. One is, have you heard of, let me show you this picture. One is, there is some concept called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Have you heard of this?
Yes, doctor.
Right. So it basically starts from physiological needs, right? So safety, then love and belonging, like having a community, family, esteem, some activities we do for self-esteem, and then some self-actualization activities. It's like this. So this is how the Maslow's, I think this is the correct chart, but there is a hierarchy or a pyramid in which one goes. So physiological needs means one's basic bodily needs, जैसे roti, kapda, makan, right? Safety, है ना, bodily safety. So last 2 or 3 are very bodily based, if you see. Love and belonging in a community, in a family, like that. So, Mataji, my understanding is that in order to understand, give up our false ego and understand our spiritual identity, develop true ego, become a servant of Krishna, we do have to have some kind of bodily comfort we do need some of those initial needs met. Okay, those initial potentials need to be fulfilled. It's hard if somebody, because we have this conditioning, we are very conditioned to think that we are this body. So if body is not comfortable, if you're not getting our basic needs of roti, kapda, makan, basic family, community, support of community, some money, some safety net is not there, right, for the body, it is hard to explore our real self. Okay. Now I'm giving you the nitty-gritties, the reality of a spiritual path. I think we need that basic safety net. So it's not wrong to have those desires where you want, and this is not necessarily, again, this is not necessarily a materialistic desire. Okay, to have safety for the body, to have good health, to have some support of loving family and community, to have proper clothing on your body and shelter. This is not really a material. We should not think that you should not divorce material and spiritual desires completely. In order to come to a spiritual understanding, in order to be able to engage in some tangible spiritual services, body does need to be comfortable. Body does need to have a comfortable position in a loving family society with some safety and some guarantee of food, clothing, shelter, etc. Okay. So that's my number one answer, that basic potential has to be met for the jiva, because otherwise, just like Krishna said, if you do not work in this society, you will be a pretender, right? You do not prematurely take up renunciation. Similarly, same thing with Krishna consciousness. We are not prematurely trying to become a pure devotee. We are trying to engage our potentials, our ambitions, our talents, our inclinations that are given by these gunas in some activities. Then my second part of this answer is, but now you have come in contact with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita with devotees. So we know that we have to manage our desires, okay? Manage our actions. So what you can do is start dovetailing as much as possible your actions in service of Krishna. So stop divorcing material and spiritual actions. Start making your so-called materialistic actions also into service for Krishna. Whatever your job is, whatever your family life, your responsibilities towards your loved ones, start doing them as a service for Krishna. Start looking into your, sifting through your desires. जैसे छलनी में से छानते हैं, what are completely whimsical desires versus what are some desires that I can engage in some sort of service. Start upholding those desires, and completely whimsical desires start neglecting. So basically becoming more deliberate, becoming more mindful of your desires, of your actions, and converting those desires and actions into services. Fill your life with more and more service. And it doesn't mean doing anything different than what you are doing. It's just changing of the mindset. Changing of the mindset where you take yourself out of the center and start putting Krishna in the center, so that your whole life becomes a life of service. So this is my understanding, Mataji, just very gross understanding. But do not artificially start giving up things. Let these things happen organically with just a little bit more intention and deliberation into the thought process, into your actions and desires. Does that make sense, or did I answer it at all?
Yes, absolutely, you did. Another question that I had is, we are different. So, for instance, Srila Prabhupada, you say that the basic necessities of a person are met, and then he is a little bit in a comfortable state of mind to think ahead, get more into spiritual life and align their desires, keeping Krishna in the center. Now, when it comes to Srila Prabhupada, you might know more about him. As much as you have told us about him, his life was not so ideal. He had so many difficulties, many things. Many times, probably his basic necessities were not even met. And many more many big sages and devotees that we look up to, their basic necessities of roti kapda makan might not have met. So I just want to know, like, and they their devotion has not gone anywhere, and they're still happy. So can you explain a little bit about them?
So yes, Mataji. So this comes from also this chapter that we're discussing. Remember, Krishna said that initially you work with attachment, slowly you become detached and get knowledge, right? But do not give up the work prematurely. You remember that concept Krishna mentioned? And then he said, then there are some people who are become transcendental, who become qualified. There are some people who do not need to work, who do not need to think about the maintenance of their body, and they can renounce. So we have to get to that level. So these sages that you're talking about, these are transcendental people. They have become transcendental. Right now, we are under the control of gunas, 3 gunas. So we are trying to purify ourselves from tamasic, rajasic, from the lower modes to at least sattvic. Okay. And sometimes we are able to serve Krishna completely and we become transcendental also, like for a few minutes in a day or few minutes in one's life, we become transcendental. But very few opportunities are there where we act transcendently. Mostly we are trying to just become sattvic at least. And very majority of the time we are in the lower modes, tamoguna, rajoguna. So we are just struggling to get to that transcendental platform of the sages and Prabhupada that you're talking about. They have cultivated, they have lived a life, they did not start from this point. So they came to this point of transcendental, of becoming transcendental. Now this brings to another point. Now this is a little esoteric point. Esoteric point means that this is अंदर की बात, ठीक है? अंदर की बात क्या है? There are 2 types of perfected beings, okay? Siddha Purush. So अगर थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो रहा होगा तो मुझे बता देना if this is going above your head.
No, ma'am. It's very interesting. I would like to know more.
Okay. So अंदर की बात ये है कि there are 2 types of perfected beings or liberated souls. Now Prabhupada is a liberated soul. Many sages and saints, Siddha Purush, perfected beings that you're talking about are liberated souls. There are 2 types of liberated souls. Please hear very carefully. It's interesting and it's a higher concept, not mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, comes in Bhagavatam and other books. Liberated souls are of 2 types. One are Nitya Siddh and the others are Sadhana Siddh. Okay. Sadhana Siddh are people like us who live a very hard life of many lifetimes it takes them, and they cultivate, they grow through life from tamogun, rajogun, satogun, a lot of services, lot of falls down, then they rise again. After many, many lifetimes, they're able to become siddh or perfect in their devotion when they become transcendental. Okay. So these are called sadhana siddh people, meaning they have followed a path of sadhana marg. Sadhana marg means a proper marg, a proper path of devotional service, like we are following. Okay. And then they have become perfected. It may take many lifetimes. Some people may be able to achieve in one life only. Prabhupada has promised us that if we follow his instructions, then we can become perfect in one lifetime only. So we are trying to become sadhana siddh in one life. Okay. But there are perfected beings that are called Nitya Siddh. Nitya Siddh means liberated souls that have come from spiritual world, from Vaikuntha. They are Vaikuntha men. They are they are the direct representatives of Krishna. They are the men, people sent by Krishna for our benefit. Prabhupada is a Vaikuntha man. So we have no comparison with Prabhupada. Prabhupada and many other saints and sages that we talk about, they are um, his Nitya Siddh followers, okay? They're eternally liberated souls that have not spent lifetimes cultivating themselves. They have been sent to this world for our benefit.
Like
So,
messengers.
yes, exactly. So the messengers or the messiahs, or like Jesus Christ, the Son of Lord, Son of God, like that. Haridas Thakur or all these the Goswamis, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they come for the benefit of by their free will they descend to spread the message of the Lord. So their lives, so they are transcendental, their bodies are spiritual. And so when they do not seem to suffer, that's because they're on the transcendental platform completely. But there are sadhana siddh purush, or people like us, who are gradually cultivating a life of devotion. They're struggling, they're failing, they're falling, then they get up again, then they start all over again. They follow a path of discipline, and every day, slowly, gradually, they are going towards perfection. And Prabhupada has promised us that we can achieve that perfection in this one life. So we can achieve that constant state of transcendence that I was talking about, liberated from three modes in this life only. So then we will be free from these demands of body or suffering, external sufferings that harass us. But it seems like these people are immune to them. We will also start feeling that way when one day we become immune to these things, external problems.
Oh, it's very interesting. But it's nice to know that in this material world we have real people whom we can see and touch, and we know existed or are still existing, that are direct messengers of the Lord Himself. When we are sometimes, waiting for Him to reveal Himself. But this is good to know.
Yes, Madhavi, thank you for asking such wonderful questions and helping us to unravel these points. There is no way I would have mentioned about liberated souls, Nitya Siddha or Sadhana Siddha, unless you asked that question. So thank you for getting this.
Thank you so much.
Okay, anybody else has any questions? Not, we can stop for today. Thank you everyone for joining. I think we can finish this chapter in 2 more classes. So please join, and it's very interesting. It's, getting into the nitty-gritties, the fundamentals of Bhagavad Gita are very wonderful to understand. This terminology, this nomenclature of Bhagavad Gita, it's nice to have that in our vocabulary. There's these words that we are learning: conditioning, false ego, ahankar, gunas, three modes, all these things. Okay, thank you everyone for joining. Very, very grateful to each and every one of you. Vanchakaltarubhishcha kripa sindhuvevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah gurve gaurchandraya radhikaya tadalaya krishnaya krishna bhaktaya tadbhaktaya namo namah. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Shri Radhe Shyam.